Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video where today we return with round 18 of our F123 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here at the Losail International Circuit for our first proper drive of Qatar on a Formula 1 game. Of course, I know this track has obviously been raced on in real life before. Everyone seems to forget about the 2021 Grand Prix because it was kind of a bit boring in obviously that huge crescendo to the championship fight there. But if I say it's the first Qatar Grand Prix, of course, you know what I mean. For us it is, and all that good stuff as well. But of course, if you missed out on the video that went live yesterday from Suzuka, Japan, I would highly recommend going back and checking it out. 6 races to go, including the Grand Prix here today of Season 1 of our My Team series. Safe to say, I think we've delivered about where I would expect to overall. P12 currently still in the Drivers' Championship, 1 point behind Pierre Gasly. I'd love to get one more miracle result here and try to get inside that top 10. Still hanging on to 7th place over Haas as well in the Constructors, of course. So yeah, pretty happy with how performance has been this year. And of course, the big rumour going on at the moment, of course, that the new rule change is ready for Season 2. Apparently are going to affect the aerodynamics. We don't know for sure. That's just what we've been told. But yeah, of course, if you're new around here as well and you are enjoying the daily My Team videos, of course, they're going to be continuing every single day until we win that World Championship inside F123. So yeah, definitely make sure you want to get yourself subscribed. Of course, get that notification bell on as well. But yeah, anyway, back to Losail then. I kind of know a little bit of where I'm going here. I've driven it once before inside F123 and then a little bit of it on MotoGP in the past. But this is going to be a test.
Okay, I need your attention. The tech regulations are changing. There's a risk some of our hard work will be undone, so we need to mitigate it. As soon as you can, I want you to look at the developments we have and tell us what areas you want to invest in protecting.
Well, there we go then. Looks like we are going to be getting rule changes for Season 2 of this series. And if we head over to the departments, it is the aerodynamics then. So we've done 10 upgrades on those parts so far this year. So all the R&D between now and the end of the season then is going to be going to protecting all of those parts. Of course, we've got no rush to do it immediately. We'll go through those as we earn the points then behind the scenes. But I actually didn't realise as well that it was a sprint weekend here at Qatar. So I guess we've got 2 chances at trying to score some points. But anyway, let's get into free practice then, as no other major news. Was wondering then whether we get another driver retirement announcement. Well, if I remember correctly then, of course, all of the actual race running here should be held at night, so we won't have to deal with that glaring sunlight then as we round our way in towards the final corner. Though first up is, of course, going to be the track acclimatization run, so this is going to give us a good indicator of what we should expect here. Like I said, I've done a few laps before around this place on F123 on a controller, and then I've also done a little bit of racing around here on the MotoGP games. Don't lock up at turn 1 like I just did and immediately miss the first mark. Always fascinating, because it does not happen often that I go to a track that I really don't feel like I know whatsoever. Of course, normally now, like if a sim game releases a new track or something like that, I pretty much know what to expect. You know, I will have driven it somewhere else or something like that, so it is a fantastically unique challenge when we go to somewhere that I genuinely have done very, very little running around. Now, I do know, like I said, roughly where I'm going around here, but it's all the nuances of Qatar that I'm so looking forward to trying to pick up, hopefully in this free practice session, but we'll wait and see. Our first run then, 385 points. Don't know what the purple score requires, 445, so we get rid of those those red scores. Should be there. And end of our second run then, just about going to get the purple score there, 450 up against the required 445. I'm slowly getting in the groove, but I definitely need more front wing. I think the other thing you're going to have to be really, really careful of is the sausage curbs around here. I think I hit one once before and almost got sent back to Saudi Arabia in the process, so yeah, not ideal. But anyway, tyre wear sim run up next then. Let's just try and be smooth with the wagon. See, I mean, really, to be honest, I'm more intrigued to see how we get on in comparison to the Delta. rather than, well, the actual tyres, as that's not quite the line through turn 2. I'm also not going to be able to get corner numbers around here, down first attempt. By heading out the final corner, then that is going to be a really bad red score there. We're 6 tenths away from the Delta as well. Not convinced we'll be able to get the tyre wear program done, but if I can beat the Delta second time, then I'll probably walk away quite happy. Well, somehow that time around I've managed to get slower around this venue, so I'm not sure how I've done that, but the tyre score was actually better. I don't quite know how that works, to be honest, but we're only going to get one more attempt at this, and I'm not holding my breath at any R&D. Well, I have kind of used the tyre wear program then as a bit of a test run, ready for my race sim run, but out of the final corner up towards the line. We're actually going to get the time this time. But yeah, still right at the bottom of red once again. Alright, final program then is going to be the race sim run. Feel like now I'm building up more and more confidence as we go on. Of course, got to prepare ourselves for Friday night qualifying here. This track must be so difficult for the rookies and things like that are coming here first time round, one practice session, and you're just expected to go into qualifying straight after that. We'll see. We've got a few months to worry about it, I'm sure, but it must be such a difficult challenge. I mean, any of the sprint weekends for the rookies must be so tough to try and get into. I don't really think it's spoken about enough. There is all slightly wide. Trying to head through turn 3. But yeah, just got to try and get me laps hooked up now. Well, I managed to take one corner completely flat out and still somehow lost half a tenth to the game, so maybe the race sim runs here are a little bit optimistic, I think is the word I'm going to use. I mean, we've got Alex Albon heading straight out onto the circuit, right onto the racing line as well. As free practices go, this could have gone smoother. Thank you, Alex, kind of. Finally jumps out of the way. I tell you what, though, this track must have been so much fun in the 2021 spec cars. I mean, it would have been even better if you'd been able to go around here in the Mercedes W11, but yeah, this place is a proper roller coaster, it feels like. And it's what surprised me about that. It honestly gives me similar in a weird way to Portimao vibes. Obviously, very fast flowing and a lot of fun corners. I know there's no elevation change around here, but why aren't more race circuits built like this? The final corner up towards the line there. I mean, we're still over a second away, but I have definitely found more time as this practice program has gone on. Yeah, it's going to be a tough qualifying session, but we can only do what we can do. Let's just head in then and try and just get a lap nailed. Heading then into the night of qualifying, and I tell you what, this circuit feels like a completely different venue now when the floodlights are on. Rounding our way through the final couple of corners to start my first qualifying lap. I'm more than prepared to take all 3 sets out here in Q1. I'm not honestly expecting to make it out of this first qualifying session tonight. Again, all the focus now is on the Season 2 car, especially with all those upgrades that need sorting out as well. Hopefully Charles Leclerc will stay out of the way. Yes, he will. What can he do here this weekend? 19 points now, the gap between him and Verstappen. He's got the momentum behind him, though. Could Charles Leclerc rewrite the wrongs of 2022? Our first lap then has felt pretty decent for the most part. Just obviously trying to get used to how much grip, the tyres can provide there. Alonso, 21.1, first benchmark of the night. There, that time will go. We will set a 22.6. We go quicker than De Vries and Barnes, though, so at least we're not slower than our teammate. But yeah, that seems about where I would expect. You know what then? Trying to time our second run nicely so we got free track space. We're 3 tenths away from the current cut-off point. We are not as far off as I ever imagined we would be as we get into qualifying. So potentially then the race sim runs around this venue a little bit on the aggressive side. But yeah, we need to try and get this second lap hooked up. Build on the mistakes we made on the first one. Still feel like I'm yet to get a completely hooked up lap around this venue, but maybe this one can be that 4th gear as we head through turn 2, roll it nicely off the exit curb, and as we head up in towards turn 4, want to be looking at the 50 metre or 5th gear on the entry, leave it there on the exit, avoid that outside curbing too much, and braking at the 50 metre or 3rd gear as he head through the next hairpin. Plenty of those on this lap. This next corner, really struggling to quite work out what I want to place the car. Fourth gear, I'm trying it, but trying to lay apex a little bit more that time around, and that's actually worked out beautifully. Keep the car wedged. Seventh gear on the exit. Want to spot the white line on the right-hand side there, leaving in fourth gear so you can roll on the throttle on the exit. You can see now how much time we're finding. We're going all the way up to 8th before we head through this complex. Leave it in 8th through the first one, down 1 gear into 7th through the second, just like keep it between the white lines. A blender throttle and down to 6th through the third, and then as you flick it back through the final. Left-hander, oh, big wobble there. Slight mistake, but we gathered it up nicely. 50-metre ball, final corner, fourth gear there. Attack the curbs, but avoid the sausage curb on the inside at the final corner. And up towards the line then, this second lap. Going to be a 6/10 improvement then, and that's going to bump us up into P13. Do I gamble it? Do I say that that will see us through into Q2? I mean, I might not have enough time actually to go out for a final run anyway. But could we make it through when I never expected it? And unfortunately then didn't have quite enough time to go out for another run there. But Ferrari looking very, very fast. Carlos Sainz a 120.6. We do miss out though on Q2 by a couple of tenths of a second. But honestly, P18 there, considering we went out early for my final run, to only be 3 tenths away, I am incredibly happy with. They're quicker than Yuki Tsunoda. Esteban Ocon having a bit of a nightmare in his Alpine car. But yeah, 1.8 seconds quicker than Aaron Barnes as well, once again, apparently. But yeah, we've got a sprint race to do first of all then. I'm feeling a lot more confident than I was heading into qualifying, so hopefully we can try and have a good sprint and move up the order, ready for the main event.
Forget pit stops, forget fuel management. It's pedal to the metal all the way here as we get ready for today's sprint. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's sprint. A fantastic effort from Charles Leclerc yesterday, and it's put him on pole. And the smooth operator Carlos Sainz completes the front row. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Russell, Perez, Fernando Alonso, Norris, Gasly, Bottas, Stroll, Joe, Albon, Magnussen, Oscar Piastri, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Mr. Monaco, Tsunoda, Sargent, De Vries, and the reserve driver rounds off the grid. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint. A warm welcome to Anthony Davidson, who's beside me in the commentary box today. The last few races have been a bit rough for them, unable to get a clean run. That's got to have some effect on their confidence, surely.
Certainly confidence is an important factor. And every time you're involved in an incident, it's not just the car you damage, but that confidence as well. But all the top racing drivers are able to tune that out when the race gets underway and focus on the job at hand.
Right, here we are then, trackside ready for Sprint Race Saturday here in Qatar. Honestly, I forgot that this track was actually a sprint race, and it reckons that the soft tyres are doable. But I'm not going to risk it. I can't believe I'm saying this. I'm not going to risk it. I feel like this is going to be quite an abrasive circuit on the rubber, and I don't want to burn out a set of softs. Looks like I'm the only driver that's thought that, though, so we might be in trouble here. Ferrari, once again, though, looking at the front row. It seems like Red Bull just haven't quite been able to match the development of them and Mercedes, but they are still there or thereabouts.
Okay.
I only just realised as well, I've never once practiced the pit lane around this circuit, so that's going to be an interesting test once we get into the GP. Hopefully we're not going to have to try that out in the sprint race here tonight, but yeah, got to try and get some heat into those rear tyres. We're going to need a good clean start here, especially when we are on the harder rubber. Not convinced this is going to work out well for me, but wouldn't it be great if all their soft tyres really did fall off and suddenly we were the one with the advantage late on in the day. Waiting on Aaron, though, at the rear of the field, our first ever Grand Prix here in Qatar. Waiting on those 5 red lights. Lights out, and away we go. I don't know what it is about F123 and ridiculously long holds there. Kevin Magnussen not getting the way. Well, Ocon trying to cover me off. So we head down towards turn 1. We've got the Williams of Logan Sargent, who had a bit of a blinder as well. in towards that first corner, and can we follow Yuki Tsunoda and find an avenue down around the outside there, still side by side with Sargent as we wind our way through turn 2, and the Williams driver then forced us to submit the position, so we have lost one place then to little Yuki off the start of the Grand Prix, but you know what, I'm not going to complain about that too much as he's still side by side with Ocon through the next couple of turns there. Can we go 3 wide? Yes we will, up the inside of the AlphaTauri and the Alpine car there, an audacious move on the opening lap, especially when you consider the harder tyres then. So back up the places we go into P17, still struggling to try and get that corner nailed up, and Esteban Ocon will say thank you very much in the process, but immediately we'll try and switch him off the corner. Ocon again, clearly not happy with the dive bomb I put in a minute ago, but looks like Ferrari's still leading the way then as we round our way through this final sector on lap 1. Definitely going to need a bigger lift than I did in qualifying there, but Verstappen up to P3 then has got the jump on Lewis Hamilton at the start of this one as we're just winding our way through the final couple of corners, trying to hang us close to Ocon. Oscar Piastri there just up in front, slowing Magnussen and Esteban Ocon down ever so slightly, so that's given us a bit of a lifeline. 10 laps in the sprint race here in Qatar. Nice round number, 10 laps. Of course, it was always on F122 that it was the really short circuits that had the sprint races, so they always consisted of quite a lot of laps as well. But yeah, Belgium, Qatar, they're both pretty long circuits in the world of Formula 1. Again, just it's through this final sector we're losing out a little bit for those cars. I mean, a lot of this is pretty much foot to the floor stuff. They're bottoming out through the second part of the Triple Apex complex. And yeah, you have got to be careful with the rear end here. Very, very easy just to ask a bit too much of it. The ground effect working wonders, but still, of course, not perfect all the time there. As Charles Leclerc, new fastest lap. We've got yellow flags, though. I think that's Zhou Guanyu causing issues and just stopping on the racing line, apparently. So we'll claim a couple of freebies in the process as Zhou Guanyu out of the Grand Prix, but felt like Magnussen probably could have avoided that one. But we'll take the freebies. More yellow flags out. Someone else seems to have issues then this afternoon, and then now it's Oscar Piastri going slowly. So Oscar Piastri 2 engine failures in 1 lap here in the sprint race in Qatar, and that could have brought out a safety car. Looks like they've cleared up Zhou Guanyu's car quite nicely in the end. So yeah, Oscar Piastri out. So that's going to be another one that we've gained for free there. Esteban Ocon flying past me, showing just how good that DRS zone is. Can we try and get around the outside of the Alpine at T1? No, we cannot. If you don't try there, thank you. I was so scared then Yuki Tsunoda was going to try and keep the nose up the inside through this complex of corners, and I accidentally left it in 8th gear on the way through. Don't think it really costs you too much, especially when the tyres are still quite fresh. But yeah, this time around then we're going to have a look just how potent that DRS is out of the final corner. Esteban Ocon 9/10 up, because we're almost already at the halfway stage then of this sprint race. Still a lot of battling going on between cars up the road, but as we try and use a load of battery, they're gaining so much on Ocon by the time we hit the anchors down at turn 1, but definitely a lot, but definitely not enough. Tell you what, when the car gets loose around here, it really does get loose. It's quite a grippy circuit, but definitely feel like once you overstep the mark, it is not going to give you a second chance still. But now we should be getting to a stage where maybe my tyres can provide a bit of an advantage for us over the AI. I think the soft tyres are still working quite nicely. But yeah, I wonder now if we're starting to reach that crossover. If I'm losing tyre grip right now, how must those soft compound tyres be struggling late on in the day there? Gap to Hulkenberg still floating around the 4-second mark. Looks like Bottas has been trying to do his very best to keep all those cars at bay. Can we get to the inside of Ocon down at turn 1? Oh, that was so scary. I didn't think we were going to stop that then. But down the inside of Esteban Ocon, and you know what? He hasn't got much fight on the exit, and we are through just about then. A bit of P14. No, we're not. Ocon coming back at me there. A little bit of a wobble as we head through the undulation, but as we head up the hill, try and keep the nose there. Again, this is beautiful side-by-side racing. No Ocon. We gave him... Whoa, the room! Say goodbye to that 100-metre board. Just throw the 100-metre board at Esteban Ocon. I've never done that before on an F1 game, but oh, that got a little bit scary, didn't it? Well, I'm still struggling with a few corners around here, but feel like this sprint race has been really good for me. Just to learn the nuances of the circuits. That was definitely not the line I wanted through there. Perhaps these front tyres not providing the grip they once were. But one more lap to go then of this race. It looks like Red Bull starting to struggle towards the end of this sprint, and I really needed a good run there on Esteban Ocon, and I've not gone and got it. Might still be able to get the run on him back down towards turn 1 though, despite the fact we're 8/10ths back. Getting into the DRS zone there, completely drained the battery. So we head back down towards the first corner, down the inside. No, Ocon just able to brake later than myself there as we had to try and commit as we got on the brakes and just could not quite spot my marker. But yeah, final lap then of this sprint. 10 extra laps of practice here. I'm going to absolutely take, and if we can walk away with a P15, doesn't leave us too far away, ready for race day Sunday as well. I mean, it will require quite a good race to score some points, but you never quite know what will happen in the world of Formula 1 there. Love Losail though, such a cool circuit. Do really think, you know, it is one of those ones, you know, fast flowing, but, you know, intricate as well. Very, very technical venue. Potentially easy to learn, but difficult to master there. And yeah, it really is about having confidence in the car as well. Running a little bit wide that time round. I really need to be closer to Ocon this time. As you can see, Magnussen still having an iron about trying to go for a move there. Thinks better of it. Change to Singapore potentially still playing in the Haas driver's mind. As do not hit those sausage curbs, Matt. 2 more corners to go though of the sprint race here. Carlos Sainz is going to take the dub ahead of Charles Leclerc, but again that gap to to Max Verstappen. He's going to come down. Oh, a huge kick some oversteer at the final corner. Across Magnussen's nose we go, but his P15 at the end of the sprint race. That's a pretty good way to start.
And that's the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Fermé.
Let's see how the driver standings have changed. Well, not the result our points leader would have wanted, but it certainly makes things interesting going forward. The grid is set then, so that just leaves the race itself. Join us tomorrow where we'll be live with all the action. And until then, goodbye.
Well, there we are then, the end of the sprint race here from Saudi Arabia, and it's Carlos Sainz taking the first win in Qatar there. 3/10 ahead of Charles Leclerc, who was a further 3/10 ahead of Lewis Hamilton. Max Verstappen in P4 ahead of Russell and Fernando Alonso there, with Perez and Stroll rounding out our point scorers then. So that top 8 seemingly pretty locked in when all is said and done. Championship-wise though, 15 now. That gap down to at the top of the table. 8 points between Sainz and Sergio Perez as well, and another 8 points between Hamilton and Russell. There are fights going on up and down the roster late on this season, but we've still got a main race to get on with then. 29 more laps here from Qatar. Let's get on with it.
Welcome back to Qatar, and the desert sands of time are running out this season for some of our drivers. Lights out are just moments away. This, the 4th race in the Middle East. We're back here in Losail for a track that's 3.34 miles long. There are 16 turns around its unique 3-prong shape and just a single DRS zone out of turn 16. It's fast and it's flowing, and there's a good overtaking opportunity with DRS down the long straight and into turn 1. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Verstappen, Russell, Fernando Alonso, Perez, Stroll, Bottas, Gasly, Norris, Albon, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Mr. Monaco, Magnussen, Sargent, De Vries, the reserve driver, Tsunoda, Oscar Piastri, Tsunoda. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat is Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching out for as they head into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
Right, here we are then, ready for the Qatar Grand Prix in Losail then. In terms of strategy, Well, apparently the AI could do pretty well yesterday on the soft compound tyres, so we're going to have to stick with them ready for the main event then. 12 laps on the soft, 17 laps on a set of mediums. Maybe this will turn into another two-stop strategy, depending on how we get on early on here. But yeah, sprint race went quite well. I'm feeling weirdly confident going into the main event, but who knows what could happen. We're getting ready then for the start of the Qatar Grand Prix. Like I said, yeah, looking forward to this one, but really now so interested to see what happens between our top two in the championship. Verstappen and Charles Leclerc, that gap keeps coming down every week, and it's honestly a bit reminiscent of 2021, where obviously Verstappen had such a big lead after Mexico, and then it just kept coming down and down. But ready then on the 5 red lights here in Losail. Again, a mighty long hold seems to be the staple of F123, but it's lights out and away we go. There are a lot of bumps over the start-finish line, so difficult to put the power down. As you can see, Logan Sargent again getting a good run down towards turn 1. I'm going to try and send it around the outside of as many cars as I possibly dare there, and somehow we found the room, and almost made it 4 wide as Perez muscles his way back past Gasly and Albon there. But that's been pretty much the dream start we ever could have wanted there. Everyone desperate to try and break down the inside of each other at turn 1, and I kind of said thank you very much there as Albon tiny bit of contact with the Williams through the next couple of corners, but no harm, no foul. And again, side by side with the McLaren car, lap 1, as we head in towards the hairpin there. But once again, it seems like Albon and I, the two of us, I feel like I've got like the baby Williams this series. It's such a weird thing to try and explain, but I basically feel like we've got pretty much the same characteristics as the Williams car. It's just slightly worse. Never mind the fact we're ahead of them in the Constructors' Championship still, as Verstappen seems to have moved himself up onto the P2. One of the Ferrari cars, I don't know whether that's Sainz or Leclerc, seems to have had a bit of a nightmare then on lap 1. Of course, we'll get confirmation of that when we cross the start-finish line, because we'll know who is in the lead then of this GP. But immediately up to 12th place then, my most common finishing position so far this season. For those of you that wondered, I think we've had 4 or 5 P12s this season, so we've done pretty well in that regard, consistently near the points. But yes, Sainz leads at the end of lap 1. So after I've hyped up Charles Leclerc so much, he's had a bit of a disaster there, down to P4. So here goes Lando Norris to the inside of myself. Oh, a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact as Albon and Gasly go side by side a bit further up the road there. We tried to get back to the inside of the McLaren car through turn 2, but nothing working for us there. Still Gasly and Albon side by side a little bit further up the road. I love seeing Albon get his elbows out. I feel like I am pretty much an Albon hype man in this series from time to time, but yeah, we've all just about made it through, and Gasly now, we just got to hope can't get away. Yellow flag, someone's got issues then as we try and make our way down in towards the final couple of corners. Whoa, Lance Stroll, very, very slow there on the racing line. I've been incredibly cheeky going around the outside of Albon and Lando Norris in the process, but if they're just going to sit behind the Canadian, who's clearly having an engine failure or something going wrong, he's managed to get his car into the pit lane. But yeah, that was dodgy, I think, by myself, but I'm going to claim it still. So we get back down towards 1 now, into 10th place then of this Grand Prix, and we're in hot pursuit of Pierre Gasly. Oh, more yellow flags then as we come towards the end of lap 4, so clearly the Qatar heat really is affecting a lot of the cars this weekend, and it's another Mercedes then going slowly. Hamilton doesn't seem to actually be stopping though. I'm a bit worried he's coming across the circuit, to be honest, as we've now got Alex Albon having a look back down the inside of myself at turn 1. It's our battle for P9 then. Oh, in this Grand Prix as Albon just parks in front of me. Stroll never actually retired from the Grand Prix, so he's still actually out there running. But yeah, Hamilton out then. Our first retirement of the night. Can we now, though, stay close to Albon as Gasly is checked out? Whoa, this track is still scary. Trying to hang on inside the DRS of Alex Albon at the moment. That Williams driver has really got the bit between his teeth this weekend. He senses an opportunity. Well, I haven't done anything, so I don't quite know what Mark's on about. He reckons we need to pit earlier, but I mean, one stop from lap 10 would be a very, very tall order about the rest of the afternoon. So let's just keep trying to look after this rubber and see how far we can take it. Looks like Ocon has worked his way around Lando Norris then in this GP, and we know just how quick the Alpine car can be down the straights, but desperately trying to make sure we're staying inside the range of Alex Albon here. That Williams Don't know if they brought more upgrades this weekend, but that thing is really sticking to the road. I think it's also a combination of that and the fact Albon is a fantastic driver inside F123. Tyre wear warning light has flashed up as well. This is not great. We might have to try and go on to an alternate strategy then. I'm still thinking whether the two-stop might be possible here. We'll box in at the end of next lap. We'll go on to those mediums as originally planned then, and if we can just take those to about lap 20, maybe that's the way we open up an opportunity here as well. Come on, knock on. Got to at least try and get somewhere near the apex, my friend. There's Lando Norris trying to get around the outside as well there, but just how did the AI do 10 laps on these tyres yesterday? Right, end of lap 9 though. This is going to be my very first attempt at the pit lane here in Qatar. Don't know whether we've got to get it stopped before the final corner. No, apparently not. Don't know where we've got to try and get it stopped then. I mean, look how wide that is. We head into the pit lane. There's the marks. That's alright actually. That pit lane is nowhere near as bad as I anticipated it to be around this venue, but now really the goal is try and get a big undercut on Alex Albon over the next couple of laps. It might have been worth trying to hang out on a set of soft compound tyres, but big undercut. Pray that there's no safety car and that we try and get one a bit later on in the afternoon, as there goes Lance Stroll and Aaron Barnes. But anyway, yeah, heading back out then of the pit lane then. Yeah, it's a pretty standard pit lane. Don't think we've got to worry too much about pit lane exit. Oh, excuse me, either. But yeah, let's just get our head down and get back to that Williams. Oh, yellow flag's out down at turn 1. Someone's got issues. I don't know who it is yet. Try and wait for confirmation of that one. Hopefully it's not one of our Championship 2. I think it is. I think Max Verstappen is either looped it or has got big issues here in Qatar. So as it gets worse and worse for him, Max!
Keep an eye on the delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty. Slow down, maintain positive delta.
Well, we got screwed last weekend by a botched pit stop. This weekend, looks like we're going to get screwed by a safety car. Max Verstappen there has gone right to the rear of the field this afternoon, and he is in deep trouble in Qatar, but it's also completely ruined any chance I had of trying to score some points as well. I don't know whether it's worth pitting again or what the strategy could be from here, to be completely honest, as hopefully we can jump the safety car. Yes, we can. Yeah, it'll depend on whether Ferrari double stack or not. If they don't, we might be okay still, because of course then the AI will lose that bit of time through pit lane. If they do double stack and the Merc pits in, which I'm sure they will, yeah, we're basically out of this. Where am I going? Yeah, and everyone is peeling into the pit lane as well there. Max Verstappen couldn't have spun at a much perfect time for the rest of the field, so I'm tempted, honestly, to bolt on a set of hard compound tyres to see us through to the end. I don't actually know what tyres everyone else is going on to. I mean, we could stay out. Yeah, I mean, do we stay out? Do we just risk it still and see what we can do? Let's try and see what might be doable then, as making sure that we're not speeding too aggressively before the front runners have caught up to the safety car. Let's just wait and see. Once Sainz catches up, I think we'll lose the delta, won't we? No, apparently not. So I've got to get rid of that. Come on, go, go, go. And now we can catch the safety car. And yeah, look at that. P14. We are, I mean, yeah, we may as well box onto a set of... you know what? We'll try it still. We'll see what happens. I'm and ahhing so much. This is awful commentary. But we're going to try it. But I really do feel like the last two Grand Prix have been very, very unlucky with things outside of my control screwing us from slim pickings at points. But I guess we've just got to get on with it. Max Verstappen, though, will be absolutely on one in the second half of this race as Carlos Sainz leads the way. Then Charles Leclerc will be in P3. So if the race were to finish now, 1 point between them as we head into the final 5 races. We've actually got a very, very good restart there on Oscar Piastri. Got to try and time the run as we head back down towards turn 1. And we've got yellow flags out. No, we haven't. Green flag racing once again there as Oscar Piastri will just about defend from me down at the first corner. But my only hope then really now is that enough cars are on the hards and I can effectively make up a pit stop inside 10 laps towards the end of this race by absolutely going for it on a set of soft compound tyres there, as someone, Phil Guanyu, tried to have a look at the inside at turn 3 or turn 4 even. That was scary. Well, Max Verstappen then has now found himself right behind myself in this Grand Prix. And there's a big part of me, there's a really big part of me that's just saying make his life as difficult as possible here, but we'll wait and see sort of what run he can get. So Oscar Piastri lifting off much more than I ever thought he would there. Threw me off slightly with the hard tyres, not providing him with the grip that I was expecting, to be completely honest, as DRS still yet to be re-enabled. Not going to stop us having a look down the inside though at the final corner. It opens up for nice racing off the corner, but we're not going to give Piastri the opportunity, and Max Verstappen will actually say thank you very much then and take the place. We'll try and help Oscar out by giving him the slipstream back down towards turn 1. We've got Ocon and Nico Hülkenberg side by side through turn 1 as well. Already over half distance then here in Qatar, but that is not the line. Deary me, just carried one gear too high through there. Just noticed on the mini-map as well, Valtteri Bottas is currently running up in P5 for Alfa Romeo. Now, reminder, they've scored 3 points all year, so Bottas is really trying to give it everything he's got at the moment to defend from these places, but maybe he could be a bit of a secret weapon for me late on. If he's still trying to defend from every car under the sun, that could give us a lot of free time late on in the day here. So, I mean, 13 laps to go. I'm really not optimistic, but maybe we can afford to be quietly optimistic still. Just every time we go through there, bottom of the car, just all over the road. But yeah, I want to believe still. Now Bottas isn't going to be in for a fun time. Sergio Perez will say thank you very much as we head back down towards someone there, and probably will not look back at the Alfa Romeo. So maybe Valtteri's just going to lose a position a lap or something like that. Oh, here comes Verstappen to the inside as we start lap 18. Only a couple more laps before I peel into the pit lane then, but the Dutchman trying to have a look down the inside. But again, I'm not... Oh, that's like... Sorry, Max Verstappen just tried to be... I was literally about to say that's the kind of move we expect from Verstappen in real life. I was not expecting him just to spin himself out on the exit of turn 1 there. You could have given me 1,000 years and I would never have guessed that to be the outcome in that moment. Clearly that's what the Dutchman must have done earlier on. That is incredible. It's only taken me 19 laps or so in this GP and all the other running we've done this weekend, but I finally feel like it's all starting to click here in Qatar. I feel like we've got the pace, and honestly now, of course, as soon as I say that, yeah, honestly now I feel like these final 9 laps or so, I'm going to box the end of the next lap onto a set of soft compound tyres to see us through to the end. These could be some of the most interesting laps of the season for us. We're going to really just give it everything and try and get back towards the points here. I know at the moment we're so close to the top 10, but just not going to happen. The tyres are not going to last. There we go. Team know the drill. So into lap 20, we're going to have 9 of the most attacking laps I might ever do in this car. I don't know how I've just gone around the outside of Logan Sargent there. I locked up, ran wide, and somehow came out of the corner ahead of him. We'll take it, but that was weird. This track is weird. The final corner then, into the pit lane will come at the end of lap 20. And now we know how aggressive we can afford to be on pit lane entry here at Qatar. Run it up, even using battery. I've got to get on the anchors, make sure, don't want to risk it like I did at Suzuka. I want to make sure that we get the car slowed down nice and tidily. 9 laps to go then here from Qatar. We are going to lose a fair chunk of time, but I mean we could easily be 2-3 seconds a lap faster late on in the day. Aaron Barnes having a bit of a nightmare as always. I mean that's just his driving inside F1 23, but yeah, those points are a long way ahead. We've basically got to try and recover a sector in 9 laps. Gap to Aaron going to be about 5 seconds by the time we exit out of the pit lane. 6 seconds on pit exit, so how quickly can we close up to him? Well, I was hoping for 3, maybe 4 seconds if we were lucky. 5 seconds I didn't quite have as my original prediction there. This thing... this is not over. It's as simple as that. It is not over. I mean, yeah, if we were a real team here, we'd be screaming on the radio, telling Aaron to get out of the way. I mean, if we were a real team, we would have sacked him a long time ago, but to the inside, we'll try and have a look. Don't go defensive! Why? What's he doing? This guy's a maniac! Get him off the circuit, please! But, I mean, we're through. We ran a little bit wide on the exit, but it's easily a second lost. I tell you what, I'm having an absolute laugh ragging this thing round here. 25.3 new personal best, but 6 laps to go. Not convinced, I'll be honest. We're taking a lot of time still out of a lot of cars, but yeah, unless they really start battling, it might have been... I don't think it would have been... Ooh, I don't know how I've done that, trying to scratch my face. But yeah, probably wouldn't have been able to keep up anyway. But yeah, just am a little bit worried we don't quite have enough. That is not the line. I'm still learning this track, it feels like. Occasionally, I'll go into a corner a gear too high and I just don't have the experience around here yet to realise. I had forgot though, I was comparing my times to Max Verstappen in clear air. He's now caught up to the back of that group again in this race. Maybe the aim has just got to be try and make sure I finish ahead of Max Verstappen. After all, he put me down in this position in the first place. Gaining so much time on Nick de Vries as we make our way through the final couple of corners. Let's see the grip advantage we've got over the Dutchman, but round in the final corner. Hopefully this could be a nice, easy move with just 3 laps to go then this afternoon. The gap's still 7 seconds up to Magnussen up the road there. Nick de Vries going to try as he might, but it's going to be a pretty futile attempt there. 7 seconds, 3 laps. I don't fancy it, as now as well, to add to that, we've got an engine warning light. Don't think it's a particular issue, just think it's random wear and tear. Probably the gearboxes. All yellow flags out. Someone's got issues later on in the day. It seems to be Lando Norris in his McLaren going slowly. So McLaren, I mean, it's all the Mercedes-powered cars this weekend. I've had an absolute nightmare. Norris now out of the Qatar Grand Prix with just 2 laps to go. That is going to give me a freebie. I'm into P18 as we round the final corner then to start the last lap. Tyre warning light has just flashed up as well. So maybe it was just a bit too much to ask for from this set of soft compound tyres late on in the day. But I tell you what, this track is so much fun. I've really enjoyed myself. It might be only a P18 come the end of the weekend unless something crazy happens. But yeah, this circuit's fun. It suits Formula 1 cars, and I'm now really looking forward to seeing Qatar return on the real calendar, and of course do more races around this venue as well in the future in this series. But yeah, as we make our way around though, did really feel like there could have been something possible had that safety car not come out when it did. You know, if that had come out after all the AI pit or something like that, or later on in the day, and worked out really nicely for us, then maybe felt like we had the confidence in the car by the end of the weekend to really try and push for points here. But that's the way racing goes sometimes, unfortunately. We've just had a couple of races of bad luck, to be honest. Singapore onwards has been a bit of a struggle. George Russell, though, will win the Qatar Grand Prix there, keeping Mercedes' win streak alive around this venue, of course, after Hamilton won the inaugural race a couple of years ago. But making our way down in towards the final corners. P18 from 15th on the grid doesn't look too great on paper, but you know what? With the race we've had, we will absolutely take it. Round in the final corner, it's going to be P18 here in Qatar, but yeah, good fun track. I look forward to coming back here, despite the mediocre result.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Take the checkered flag for the Qatar Grand Prix. It's a night they'll never forget here in Losail. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, they certainly stood out as a driver with tons of confidence on the track. I think their ability to keep their cool, even during some of the more hectic parts of the race, meant they were able to capitalise on the mistakes of other drivers, giving them the opportunity to make their way to the top spot with ease.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take the top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes. let's have a quick look at how the driver's standings have changed. And with today's impressive result, Charles Leclerc steps into the championship lead. Let's focus on the driver of the day, Anthony Davidson. Who do you pick?
Often my go-to would be a driver who's managed to pull off an especially impressive feat during the race. However, in this instance, I was more impressed by Max Verstappen's solid, clean driving throughout the event.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. It was a tough race for our championship leaders who lose ground at the top of the table. And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Well, there we are then, the end of the Qatar Grand Prix. And yeah, Mercedes take another win around this venue. Alonso picks up another podium there in P3, of course. But Carlos Sainz in fourth ahead of Perez, Alex Albon there. Massive points for Williams and Alfa Romeo this weekend. Yeah, absolutely love to see it there. Unfortunately for me, our two big rivals in Gasly and Ocon also scored points, so that kind of puts a dampener on that for us. And yeah, Haas as well. Got to be careful of them. Pick up another point late on in the campaign there. Stroll, a bit of a nightmare, down in 11th. Oscar Piastri, though, from the back row of the grid to 12th in the end. A good recovery drive by him. And to be honest, not really sure how Max Verstappen was awarded with driver of the day there. 14th from 4th on the grid, and almost took me out of the process late on in the day. That was incredibly funny when all is said and done. But yeah, pretty disastrous weekend for all the British drivers if you exclude George Russell. Myself in 18th. Aaron Barnes, of course, down in last. Lando and Lewis both not making it to the checkered flag. But if I'm not mistaken, that means at the top of the table, Charles Leclerc, for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, all season, someone other than Max Verstappen leads the way now. Charlie boy back on top there. 3 points ahead of Max Verstappen. 6 points, the gap between Sergio Perez and Carlos Sainz there. So yeah, it's all to play for in the constructors as well. George Russell extends his gap over Hamilton then in their little battle of the Mercs. Doesn't quite seem like they've got enough to keep up with Red Bull and Ferrari, but I say that, Russell only 15 points back behind Sergio Perez there. No other movers, though, further down the roster. I mean, Albon, yeah, big points for him. Now means he and Valtteri Bottas are tied on 9 points there, and that means constructors-wise, Williams levitate from 11th all the way up to 9th there. A mega job by them this weekend. 3 points between Red Bull and Ferrari as we head into the final 5 races of the season. Thank you all so much for watching this video as always. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you leave a like, get yourself subscribed as well, and we will be back when Formula One returns. Ready next, I think, for the US Grand Prix at Qatar. That one is going to be dramatic. None of these videos would be possible without the help of our channel members, so a massive thank you to all of the names you see on your screens currently for helping support the channel. You can join them by clicking the join button down below, and yeah, thank you once again to everyone that continues all the insane support on my work.